Hey guys, my name is Jacob Jenkins and this is my 1994 Jeep Wrangler YJ. So this is going to be the first video for my channel, Cool Cars, Cool People. And of course I'm going to give you guys a whole tour of the car, show you around, but the most important part of this channel is to tell the stories behind this car and why they're valuable to the owners. So about this Jeep, I've wanted a Jeep probably back since like middle school, 7th grade or so. Always wanted a TJ. I don't know. I always wanted one of those stick shift, the removable top, take the doors off. It just looks so much fun. Always wanted one of those. And I was in the market for one my senior year. I'd been saving up, and I thought we were gonna get a TJ, and all of a sudden my dad finds this YJ on Craigslist. And just so y'all know, the YJs ran from, I think it was 87 to 95. YJs ran. And we went and looked at it, and my God, this thing was like, it was painted white, soft top, like all crumpled up, tiny tires on it. Man, it was in rough shape. It needed some TLC for sure. But my dad, we got a good offer on it, and we brought it home. And since then, it's been a wild ride. I mean, I've gained so much experience working with my dad on it. For starters, first things first, we got these 2020 Jeep Wrangler wheels, I think. We got them off Facebook Marketplace for a pretty good deal. And, the funny thing was, every part we found for this car, my dad always told me I had a horseshoe, up my you-know-what. Because every time he went to go pick up a part, he either got it for super cheap or they gave us even more parts. We went to go get this windshield right here, and the dude he was buying it off of was like, what, I got this lift kit lying around, why don't you go take that too? And what, it turned out to be like a 7-inch lift kit. We don't really know. We thought it was 3, and then it was 7, so there you go, worked out. So yeah, we got that windshield. My God, I mean, me and my dad pretty much restored this whole entire car. New fenders, new bumper. We painted it twice. We sent it to get painted, came back, had bumps all over it, went back a second time, so we got the 2-for-1 deal. But man, it was such a fun time restoring with my dad. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was great, and he knows so much about cars, and I learned a lot just building her back up, whether it be wiring or taking 5 hours to remove one bolt off the leaf spring. It was great. I loved it. A couple other major upgrades we had were a double slip yoke drive shaft. Once we put the 7-inch lift on this thing, it couldn't drive over 30 miles an hour without giving you a headache right away. So my dad slapped on that drive shaft. I'm a rising sophomore, so while I was at school, he always sent me tons of videos.
You come loose, and we're good with all the bolts. But when you turn on the windshield wiper, the headlight come on.
And he's always fixing it up. It's kind of his pastime. He loves just working on cars or boats, anything like that. So as for the interior, honestly, it's pretty bare bones. There's not really much in here. You have your most basic gauges possible, speedometer, tachometer, and the other couple essentials. This car does not have air conditioning. We threw in a aftermarket Bluetooth radio, works great. My dad also installed a overhead sound bar. That thing's awesome. As for the seats, honestly, the passenger seat came in great condition. That came out great. My dad had to redo the driver's seat, had some rip and tear. We installed carpet. This thing came with no carpet at all. As for the back seat, honestly, kind of fits either one fat person or 2 skinny people. There's not there's not a whole lot of space back there, but it's fun. Honestly, sitting in the back of the Jeep is probably second best to driving it. And here's a really cool feature that they did for the Jeep Wrangler YJ, because I know they did this for the TJ, but all the new Jeeps, the passenger seat does not pivot off of this bracket like this one does, and this makes for really easy entrance to the rear. Oh, yeah, there we go. Spacious. And you know what else you won't find on new Wranglers? Half doors. And this is probably my favorite thing about the car, just because honestly, I mean, here, It is super hot today. I'm taking these things off. Once you get the whole thing off, it's basically like you're riding with no doors. See, I can't ride with no doors because the hinges are probably rusted into the body of the car. But these are super easy to take off. Putting them on is a little more challenging. But put them back on, pretty simple there. Boom. Half door. So after having it for about 1.5 years, I think we've put about, a couple thousand miles on her. It's got 146,000 right now. And as for the engine, it is not the 4-liter straight 6 bulletproof engine that most Jeep enthusiasts go for. It's got the I think it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. Shoot, I mean, it's probably like 120 horsepower or something like that. I don't know if it's as torquey as a 6-cylinder, but honestly, it gets the job done. It's a great engine. Starts up every time. Really reliable. I've never had any problems with it. So my Wrangler has the 5-speed manual transmission. I think it was around the mid-90s they started offering it with the 3-speed automatic, but honestly, those are really hard to come by. And shoot, I mean, it's a Wrangler. You gotta go with the manual. Come on now. I really like it. Honestly, the throws are they're not really long, but they're not really short. They're right in the middle. It's super fun to drive. I love it. If you guys were wondering about the shell that's hanging off the rearview mirror, that's because this Jeep is Big Z. It's Big Z. Got that name from Surf's Up. We love watching that movie. That's a classic in the Jenkins household. As you can tell, this is not a very quiet car. It's loud. It's definitely loud. Although the ride is bumpy, once you're on a smooth paved road, it's actually pretty smooth. It's not bad. But you hit a pothole, like I said, here's a tiny bump. It's pretty big. So a lot of people talk about how, these old Wranglers, like, oh my God, like, if I buy this thing, I'm going to flip over. Like, this car actually, I've got a 7-inch lift kit on this thing, and it feels pretty planted. I've never had any issues almost tipping over. It's always felt good, even at high speeds. Of course, I've only driven this thing as much as 55 miles an hour, because when you're going 55 in this thing, it feels like you're going 80, because you got the soft top flapping around and you're kind of just dancing on the road almost. Oh yeah. Oh shit. Oh shit. So if you're looking into getting a Jeep YJ, I would say, keep in mind that they're not built for long trips. This thing could make it to the beach. Would I want to drive it to the beach? No. That would not be very good. I'd probably get a headache within 30 minutes. This thing's loud. But having it at the beach to, have fun and swing it around on weekends, that's what you want it for. Honestly, if you're looking for a project Jeep, you want something that's fun, you want something that's not going to break the bank. I mean, you can find a project YJ for probably about, I don't know, maybe like $4 or $5 grand. Find one that isn't rusty. It's my God, dealing with those rusty bolts is the worst thing I've ever had to do. But pick one up. Parts are everywhere. The aftermarket on these things is insane. You can find any part imaginable. You can customize them. Get a little Hawaii girl dancing for you. I mean, it's really fun, and it's worth it. Totally worth it. And if any of you guys are wondering if the 4-cylinder has any kick, just no, she giddy up. She giddy up just fine. And so that's the story of my 1994 Jeep Wrangler YJ. I'm really happy I could share the story with you guys. Honestly, it's been so fun having this car, man. I have great memories with her. I mean, some of my favorite memories, I drove it around one time around the block. I wasn't supposed to. My dad, he was away doing something. I drove it around the block, and the wheel ended up falling off. Well, I was like a block away from my house. Wheel fell off. And I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, the wheel fell off. Like, come on, come over here, man. Grab a jack. Come on, we got to get this. Yeah, I drove around with my buddies in this thing. They've got to drive it. Everyone loves it, man. Big Z. Don't get much better. Before I end this video, I just want to say thanks for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed the first video of this channel and the story of my Jeep Wrangler YJ. And yeah, I'm gonna keep creating good content of cool cars and cool people.